go. All right. How do I minimize? Let's get this out of here. Okay. This is a VR class. Hope you guys are in the right place, I assume. Does everyone have their Oculus Quest? Yes? Who doesn't have it? No, you got it. Yeah. Who doesn't have it, go get it. Who hasn't checked it out, go check it out now. Yes? Okay. For those of you who did get it, thank you for following my instructions. We'll do, I don't know, little icebreakers, and two students that left can follow up after, but I assume they, but I don't know you, so I want to get to know you. I'll start, just why not? I'm Jason. I've been teaching this class for, I think, 5 years now. Kind of crazy. Last year was the first where everyone gets a headset, and I feel like it's almost like teaching the class again for the first time, the way it was supposed to be taught. It's important to have the hardware in hand because you could always put it on, test out your scenes, but it'll also allow you to get into VR very, very quickly and not just experience VR, but use it for yourself. So you have these headsets all the way throughout the duration of this course, and these are available to check out during the school year. So if you ever wanted to, just feel what your studio project looked like in VR, it's shockingly easy to do that, but not all of us do. But I enjoy the teaching this class because I actually use VR a lot in my own practice. I use it as a design tool, and I think it's actually very powerful, not necessarily as a visualization tool, but in this class, we'll be using it as a visualization tool on some level. But really, it's very much about designing a user experience in VR. And so I want you to kind of think about not just the space that you're creating, but what's the person that's wearing the headset and you're seeing meant to experience, right? And it doesn't have to be visually rich. It should be or could be, right? But you could use audio, you could imply haptics, you could create interactions that sort of, get the player a little bit more involved in what you're presenting to them. And so I think these are the areas as an architectural designer are things that we don't really consider, but can now that we have this tool, right? And I think it's going to see an increasing amount of usage and demand, like a lot of large scale projects like airports are already demanding, museums are already demanding VR experiences, for better or for worse, right? I've seen some pretty bad ones too. You guys aren't going to be bad. Okay, so as an icebreaker, I'd like for you guys, I don't have a cold, I'm like getting over a sinus infection, but I'm coughing a lot, so excuse me. Hopefully that's it. So tell me your name, tell me why you're interested in VR, and what you hope to get out of this course, and whether you've used VR in the past or not. I'll start with you.
Hi, I'm Bob. I've never used VR before, so I hope that in this lab I'll be able to explore this virtual world and also understand how, the buildings that once existed and now are constructed, and how they are combined together. And I hope to, understand how to use like the Unreal Engine to construct the virtual world so that I could perhaps use it in my future studio project.
Okay, good, good. Say your name one more time.
Bob.
Bob.
Yes.
Bob. Okay. I'm gonna try to remember your name, so I might look at you later. Bob. Okay.
I'm Liam.
Liam.
Yeah, I never used VR before, and I'm interested in VR because I studied art history in undergrad, and I'm just specific access. Narratives that
I'm Sarah. Art history background, so I think taking this class is an important step in me learning how to translate two-dimensional I've never really used VR beyond playing games on Oculus, but it's like 5 minutes. But that's about
What's the game?
5 nights at Freddy's.
Five Nights. I've never played that one. Oh, I hate horror. I can't do it. It's scary in VR. It's like VR horror is not the same.
So, folks that go versus phones that don't.
No, okay. But fear is good. Like it's emotion, right? And that's the other thing that VR offers. It's like this ability. Like, have you used VR? You've used VR and you felt your hands sweating, right? We have HP Omniceps that you could check out, and they'll check. They'll do your heart rate. So they'll track your heart rate while you're in a VR experience. So you could see how someone's sort of physiologically reacting to what's presented. They also do eye tracking, so you can see what they're looking at when their heart's elevating too. So there's definitely a use case for that. So thank you, Tara.
I am Gavin.
Yeah.
I never used VR before, but I think games. I just wanted to
What's your favorite game?
catch.
League of Legends. Okay. Is that's a MOOP? You like the MOOPs? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Gaming is important. I mean, we use game engines. Obviously, Unreal Engine is a game engine. And we'll talk a little bit about why I think game engines are important in the whole grand scheme of things. Are you like serious League of Legends? Are you in like a team or no? Just for fun. Do you watch esports?
yeah.
Yeah, it's great. Great. Lena? Okay. Uh-huh.
Small program. And
This was in this like a when you're in school.
we only had like 2 and share with
Mhm.
our
Yeah. Yeah. Did you have a problem with that you had to share headsets?
that.
You never wanted to use it, or they didn't let you use it?
But like everybody to like buy out to use it.
Oh, okay. I thought it was more of, I mean, there's a hygienic concern as well, right? Yeah. Good.
My name is Sam, and I've never used VR, and I'm not a gamer like Gavin. And I'm looking forward to explore the virtual realm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Chi. I have had one experience using video about home in Nigeria because I've always been, I think, I'm not an art history major, but similar to like, and like history and trying to like visualize history and things I thought we had a in class. And like Nigeria has like rich cultural history that we unfortunately didn't experience because we have to tell different things that like September, but like this one opening of the museum I went, we had like a very thing and we could kind of experience some ancient civilization, and that's I thought was really cool.
Mhm.
So I'm kind of interested in knowing how to create those moments
Mhm.
because yeah, I think for me that's not interested to know where I'm from, to know where I'm going. So
Mhm.
I experience that these aspects.
Yeah, good. I mean, there are a lot of companies that are like getting funding to document historic sites. There's like a big project to digitize Angkor Wat. I think they digitized Mount Rushmore. I don't know why, but they decided that was important and that was significant. But yeah, there's a lot. And then there's also a website. I'll find out. I can't remember off the top of my head that collects these, and these are more or less freely available for you guys to access and use as digital point clouds, and then you could use them as digital assets in gaming and things like that for virtual or gaming type experiences. But good.
My name is Nim, so I like to explore like new technologies and be honest, the thing that I just want to explore now. Hopefully use it. Um,
Mhm. Have you tried it before?
yeah.
Okay. What was the experience that you tried?
So the first time I tried it, they gave me, like, I was pretty nauseous. But then the second time I tried it, it was pretty fun. I was like making, a 3D item and a 3D print stuff
Sorry, 3D.
and like a 3D object
Uh-huh.
and then 3D print stuff.
So like kind of like Google Tillbrush or something like that? Yeah. And was it like a wired headset you're using that was connected to a PC, or was it a smartphone that you stuck in front of?
It's so fun.
Okay. Curious what headset.
I'm Kaiwan, and I'm actually Kaiwan. Yeah, I'm actually in the third year, but it's the last class I'll be taking. All right.
Third year MR1?
Yeah.
What happened? You didn't
Uh,
do the summer course?
No, I found out 3 years ago. I missed the summer, but I have to take this as the
Okay, so did you finish your third year or you're entering?
I finished my third year.
Okay, so you need this just to graduate. Okay, yeah, that's good.
And,
That's good to know.
I never worked with VR before.
Uh-huh.
And actually, I've never worked with any like technical software, including like finance. And
Oh, you don't know Rhino?
so it'll be a little challenging.
How did you do all of your student projects? By hand?
Mainline,
Really? Interesting.
everything mainline.
This is gonna be a tough course for you, I think.
I do feel like the VR will be a very important application for future
Yeah.
environment. And
I'll go easy on you, don't worry, but it's gonna be tough.
Okay.
Hi. Casey? Uh-huh. Okay. Good. It's gonna help you. Yeah, absolutely. Good.
I am Elise.
Elise.
I've used VR before, as a design tool in classes and, also when I would use it in lab presentations.
Mhm.
I think I was particularly interested in, the, software used on Unreal, so the Unreal, because I'm just like, I wanted to plug in like the rendering software sounds funny, but I've seen, I know Mr. Zahushra, you did, with that you guys did last, semester.
Mhm. Okay, good, good. Now, your last name is Celestin. Did we correspond before? Your name sounds very, very familiar. Okay,
Yes, I wanted to hear about
the seminar course. Oh, that's right, that's right. Okay, okay. Well, if you're still interested, it's gonna be offered in the fall, so you could check that out. And
Yeah.
Kunoko?
And yeah. Start, but it's like,
Good. Has anybody used Unreal or Unity before? For any purpose, other than the ones you've already packaged? Okay, you guys know what a game engine roughly is? Okay. No. All right, so let's start from scratch, right? Did everyone sign up for Epic Games, got their account? They have a Meta account, right? You sign the bottom line, give away all your information. They have it already, by the way. Good, good. I want to be as software and platform agnostic as possible, but these days it's virtually impossible to avoid these things, especially when they make them available for free. There's always a price in my monetary, but there's always a price. Unreal Engine is a free software for users. Obviously, if you're using it to develop a game and you're making money from it, there's a licensing agreement that's attached to the terms of use. none of which we're ever going to cross here in class. And so it's pretty much free, consider it a free software. Epic Games makes Unreal Engine. The two big game engines are Unreal Engine and Unity. The analogy I like to use for game engines is, think of it like a massive, infinitely sized theater, right? So what does a theater have? Theater has stages, right? It offers seats for an audience, right? A way of interacting. It has certain infrastructure like lighting, certain props, certain assets, functionality, right? In order for you to set up a stage for someone to be entertained from. Does that make sense? So cameras, right? All the stuff that maybe in our, like you could also say soundstage, right? Cameras, lights, rigs, equipment, things like that. What it doesn't have, but it's starting to do, is it doesn't 3D model, right? It's starting to do more and more of that. And honestly, in probably 5 years, you'll probably be able to model all of your studio projects in it, right? Because they see a future in architectural visualization and these types of use cases are attractive to them, so that they'll continue to develop these things. But the ability to model is pretty essential to try to keep everything in one platform as opposed to jumping from 3ds Max or Rhino into so is it Kai? Aside from Kai Wen, does everyone know Rhino? Who doesn't know Rhino? Right. I think Kai Wen is like our local Luddite.
I can make some extruded.
You can make some extruded. That might be all you need, actually. You could do a lot with extrusions and the Boolean command. Do you know Boolean?
Yeah.
All right, we're halfway there. And so what you'll need to do is develop your own assets, as we call them. Assets are anything that's useful, right? Sort of definitive, right? And you bring them into the theater, and then you start setting the stage, right? But what Unreal is going to provide is like physics, lighting, rendering, the ability to set your cameras and move cameras around. You can move anything around, right? Imagine all these sort of invisible rigs up in the air that can sort of move all of your assets around for you if you wanted it to, right? Depending on the objectives of your project, right? But you'll have to build your assets typically outside of Unreal, right? So if we're talking about the theater analogy, then your role is producer, director, art director, lighting guy, audio person. You're doing all of these things, right? Whether you're good at it or not, doesn't matter, but you're responsible. You have to wear all those hats. And so whatever that, it's not just, I build the model, I go in and look around. You could certainly do that. But our objective here is to create an experience, right? So you're gonna wanna consider light. You're gonna wanna consider audio. You're gonna wanna consider interactivity. You're gonna wanna consider visual fidelity or artistic style, right? Did you guys watch the video that I posted? Right? Has anyone played like Monument Valley or Greed? Right? These are like, pretty non-photoreal games. And there's a certain artistic quality to them that's very much part of and integral to the experience of the game, right? Or there's Lumino City. Anyone played that game? Like they made physical models and combined them with digital models, so it looks like your little puppets moving across this like handcrafted world, right? So you want to pay attention to like art direction, right? But all of that is going to be rooted in the projects that you select. Did you guys pick your projects? Yes. I recommend you guys post 3 because I'm going to help you distill which will probably fit best within this scope of this course. I don't want you guys to take on too much because this is for, I think all of you, the first time you're using software, right? So I don't want you to struggle with the asset side of it, trying to like model the entire city in Rhino and then bring it into Unreal. Like, it's going to take you way more time than you need to. And so let's distill what that is down and really focus on what Unreal can do. And then once you learn Unreal, you'll start to understand, okay, how do I balance the production side of things to the implementation side of things? Okay, and then you start to dictate what the user experience of it is, right? This class is going to ask you to do VR and create a cinematic, which is like a 30-second video, a movie, a 30-second film. Let's call it a film. Don't want you to be ambitious. These are cinematic. These aren't just cameras moving, people like walking around. Like, it's not documentation, right? It's edited piece of cinema, right? And we'll go through what that means and how to do that. But like I said, Unreal Engine offers these types of productions. So the reason I'm doing it, I'm asking you to deliver both of these, is because I actually think that the cinematic part of it anyway might be even more beneficial to you for future studio than VR. Plus, do you guys have any questions so far? Yes.
Use animations as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Maybe explore not.
Yes, that's what the cinematics essentially are, right? You'll be creating an animated sequence in Unreal, and then you'll export out the sort of frames. And you could do compositing or post-processing in After Effects or something like that if you wanted to. But I think we're trying to limit the workflow within Unreal. So, you know, if you wanted to do audio, you should do audio in Unreal. Any kind of visual effects, you should do it in Unreal, so that we're learning that workflow. But if some of you already have like knowledge of After Effects and how to use it, I'm not going to stop you from doing it, but most of the things that you would want to do, you can do. So yeah, we'll be teaching animation. The other reason why animating in Unreal is particularly beneficial is it's going to save you a lot of time. Has anyone done a V-Ray animation out of Rhino? No. Huh? Lumion, yeah, Lumion's a little easier because it's real time, it's rendered, right? V-Ray animations take forever to render out. And then, you know, maybe it rendered for 18 or 24 hours, and then you watched it and there's like some weird thing going on. It's, oh my God. Right? That makes you not want to do it. The nice thing about Lumion, I prefer Unreal Engine because it looks a lot better than Lumion, is that it's real-time rendered. And so when you're done, you could watch the animation before you hit the render button. And it's all like essentially pre-rendered, right? And so I think that offers a lot of it. You can edit on the fly, adjust and revise, right? Do you guys like films? What's your favorite movie? Which is The Godfather? Oh, that's good. That's a good one. That's all. Monsters Incorporated. Very different than Godfather, but I accept. Right. So whether it's Monsters Inc. or The Godfather, there's a lot to be learned from these cinematic precedents as far as your cinematic preparations or production goes, right? And so we'll go through a little bit of that as well, like composing a scene, mise en scène. Are you guys familiar with that term? Mise en scène. It's like how you position your props and your actors so that you're filling the screen and that composition is actually contributing to the telling of the narrative, right? And so all of those become opportunities for you to tell the story of your architectural projects, believe it or not, in a visual way that's totally subconscious, right? You can create a lot of tension and a lot of mystery, a lot of fear, right? By properly lighting something, properly adding audio, maybe from one channel versus another channel, because then it sounds like there's something scary happening behind you, right? And so you can really start to play around. Okay, so our objective today is to just do a project from scratch, right? And go into it in VR and see if we can get that to work. Okay, so everyone has their headsets, right? Take them out, take out the cables. You may or may not need them, and I'll show you both options. And I also want you they always change the names to these things. Okay, there you go. Don't plug in anything yet. Okay. I'm gonna put a link in the chat to download. And so go ahead and download that piece of software and start installing it onto your machine. Um, Wait, can you check? Do your machines have this app already installed? Oculus? Okay, yeah, good. This, uh, if you go to search, oh, we saved this step, Oculus app. Right. And so if we check under our devices, this is where we're going to connect our Quest to our computers. So you can go ahead and turn on your Quest. Right. What it's going to ask you to do is set up a boundary. Yeah. Yeah, it's in the chat on the Zoom. Are you in the Zoom? Oh, it's not. Oh, I see. I see. Um, mhm. Oculus.com. Can you guys see my screen or my headset now? Oh, there it is. So if you open up the Oculus app, you'll have to log in with your Meta account, which you should have already created. If you haven't already created one, create one quickly. Do you need another link? Oh. Yes. There is last year, yeah. I have that thing from last time. Where did I save that? Can you copy the error code or just the text of the error and put it in the chat for me? It may already have, but let me just. You found it? Yeah, put it on the chat. Or you could text it to me if you can. Even a photograph of it, and I could just type it. Yeah, yeah, email it to me. Luckily, they can see my email. Oh wait, this is being recorded. I can't do that.
Yeah.
Don't email it. No, you could email it. There's nothing fun in it, by the way. It's all sad. Email, okay. All right. Is everyone getting that same error? So there could be some computers that had already installed it. Um, so what you need to do is go into your search bar here and type CMD. Okay. So I'm gonna send you or chat the text so you can just copy and paste it. Right, and you're gonna enter this. I'll just leave it up for. Reg at HKC. So. Yeah, you can hit enter if you have a type. I'm just leaving it up for everyone to see. Oh. Sorry, I can't hear what you're saying.
I cannot log into the office.
Masood, can you help me? Masood is coming to the rescue. Can you turn off your speakers?
Yeah.
Thank you. Did everyone else bypass that error?
Then you choose it.
I can go back. It should like.
Hmm. Yeah.
Oh, you need your own.
So this is the link cable. Airlink would be wireless. I would recommend you guys do the cable for now. And so connect your cable and do the wired option. But in your computers upstairs, you could do whatever option you. Hmm? The same issue.
Well, what is this current nice RET operation?
REG space add. It didn't, what did it say? It gave you an error in the command prompt? Okay, I think it was entered incorrectly then. Did you add the quotes? Did you use the same cases? Okay, can you guys, all right, in your quests, you guys can see what I'm seeing, right? If you go into your settings, which is this little gear icon, go to your quest link option and use the trigger button to select launch quest link. And uncheck use air link because we're using the wire. And it's gonna tell us what PCs are available to us. And so if you go ahead and click launch, I'm going to create a new boundary. And confirm. Excuse me. And you should end up in a sort of vast gray gridded wasteland. I'll do this again, so don't panic. Right, and then if you click on this little desktop app, you can see your computer through your headset. You should be able to see your computer through your headset. To connect your link cable, it doesn't charge.
Say it again?
Is it totally dead?
I think so. Well, possibly. It's just flashing red light. Does that mean it's dead?
But your link cable should charge.
Oh, it should.
Yeah. See if you connect it, the light should turn yellow.
Oh.
And you can let it sit for a while. Yeah, yeah. Was it that color?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe it's a little too low. Yeah.
When you feel those, you feel better.
Go back and try to. You know, Mario.
Oh, you took yours off? Yeah.
Is it connected?
Right, this thing.
It should fit over your glasses. It fits over these, and these are kind of cheap. It doesn't fit to yours. Your glasses are pretty big.
Yeah. But yeah, I see.
And download the optics, with its own internet. But mine, you can update it now.
Just let it rest. Yeah. Who's having very serious problems? Are you having very serious problems? It was Cece? Yeah. Yeah. Well, no one's gonna die, but. What is possible? And it will happen. Just update. How long is it gonna be? Couple of days. Oh, not really good. But. It said it needs care.
Yeah, absolutely. So.
Actually, this is VR. I tried it. It's insane. It's crazy. Okay, the differences with the application. Wish they had actually. No, but for most people, it's kind of basic. I guess they'll have to do that someday. Yeah. I know.
Is everyone doing okay? Do you need the Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, did you set up your boundary? No, I'm just trying to get close to that. Oh.
Is it the same thing? It's not turning on. Just hold the button for a minute. You should hear a little jingle. Sharing the same screen?
Sweet salmon.
I'm stretching. You know, for my staff, they're.
And then try.
Let's check this out.
It's not just your.
Yes, you can check out this one. I think that might be. Be a bad thing. Otherwise, you have to be on the app, your phone.
How's everyone doing?
I'm connected to Wi-Fi.
Trying to do the random update after I log into my computer again, and then the Outlook app disappeared, and then the update didn't happen.
Okay,
And so,
yeah, just try restarting, is that what you're doing?
Yeah.
Okay, hopefully it all comes back after that's done. I should have said, wait 4 hours.
Okay, try that.
Are you not able to log into the Wi-Fi? Is that the problem? Can you do Yale Secure?
So for some reason, I'm gonna keep playing. After
It should be based on your net ID, right?
Yes, it's more like, yeah, that's why the connect button just. Wow.
You can't do Yale Guest? Is that what everyone else is saying?
But I think like recent thousand. I'm like, opening from recent down this press to. I don't know.
Has anyone managed to get on Yale Secure with their Quest? Or was it already in Yale Secure when they turned it on?
Yes.
You cancel it? It's happening on your Quest? Yeah, okay.
There's like full internet connection.
It's poor internet connection?
Yeah. I'm kind of lost in the fact. It's showing like recent downloads question.
Huh?
Yeah, I'm gonna do. Oh, you just remember.
Yale, if you're Yale, yes, it's why, you get it, you know, why it's.
No, they're fine, but the same certificate for all of them. But I don't know about it.
I mean. I'm.
Starting too soon. Wait. Let's try that one.
So. So.
He's there.
Is your
It's like this all the love that I would guess.
all right? Who's this working?
But he got them yesterday, right?
Uh-huh. But you're on Yale Secure, Yale Guest, and you can't log on Yale Guest. It's the same issue. Who's not on Wi-Fi on your Quest? You're not on Wi-Fi either?
It didn't pass for me.
It didn't ask for it, but it doesn't mean it's not on. If it didn't ask for it, then you're probably on Wi-Fi. Right? Who is able to connect their Quest to the So by connected, I mean, it's green lights. Can you guys raise them high and keep them up for a second? Okay. So for those of you who aren't, what troubles or what problems are you running? Okay. That's pretty. You know what? You might want to plug it into the wall and charge faster. Who else? Your battery is dead? Okay, plug it into the wall. Right.
There was a way to connect from the app last year. Using Wi-Fi,
Oh, really? You know what? That might, okay. So why don't we try this? Everyone, on your phones, download the Meta Quest app or the Oculus app on it. Yeah, Meta Quest app.
this page says you want to make it run very fast. So in the identity part, just put your meta ID and then the anonymous part, leave it blank and password is your meta ID password.
But is that here? Let me,
Some, you know,
is there a do not validate option?
Yes, but that just still requires that they try to.
Yes. Where did everybody go? Oh, yeah, I don't think that's gonna fix it. Try to do a factory reboot or a reset.
Like this.
Yeah. Um. Can I see your headset? Mhm. Ready.
Let's see if you can pass the Wi-Fi.
Okay. So did you download the app to your phone?
Yeah.
All right. So pair using these numbers and just sort of,
Oh. Good.
no, but I factored this, in. You'll have to disconnect the
Okay.
request from that. Hmm?
So next time, ownership connect to your.
Well, are you on Wi-Fi?
No, I haven't crossed that bridge just
Okay. Well, connect to your computer. Yeah. Are you not connected yet? We having problems with Wi-Fi? Yeah.
But it's in it. Use this connection headset.
There's a website, great.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, it's like, close and Wi-Fi.
You were able to impact Wi-Fi. Okay. The Wi-Fi. Okay. Yeah. So you're gonna have to pair your phone app to your device. So connect to the Wi-Fi. And you can connect in the optics.
This is pretty fast.
phone.
Updating upstairs.
You could probably bring it back down.
I think
Okay.
for me, I didn't have to do.
Some of them might already be connected to the Wi-Fi.
Okay, I'm gonna stand up.
No, do a stationary for now.
That's so cool.
No. There should be a stationary option where you don't draw.
Oh,
You
oh, yeah.
just get circle
Sorry,
around.
I'm riding blind over here. The glasses.
Yeah. Did you get it paired? Did you pair it to your phone? And down by. And your what?
Did you reset your computer? You just left it. Is that where you are?
Yeah, that's.
These little bubbles. Wow.
Are you on?
This is my phone.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it sounds like there are a couple of ways you can access the Wi-Fi. One is through your phone. Once you pair your phone to your, good?
Yeah.
Once you pair your phone to your Quest via Bluetooth, you should be able to on your phone access your,
Oh, yeah.
and then did it work?
Yeah.
What is, how did you do it? Through your phone?
Yes.
Okay. And the other option is to log into your Meta. Am I hearing myself? Or is that something wrong with my ear? I mean, I'm hearing myself, but I echo. Log into the Meta account on your web browser with your Quest connected. And you should be able to connect that. That's what's easy.
Connects to Wi-Fi. Is that or just-
Through the Meta. That's what you do, yes. So it's like, just look for Meta account login.
Who's still not connected to Wi-Fi? That's probably.
Everyone else is connected to Wi-Fi. Oh my goodness. Oh, okay. Don't update that.
No, it just went.
It did it by itself. Yeah. Well, if you can avoid it, don't update. Everybody else is on Wi-Fi. Who's having problems still? So if you're on the Wi-Fi and you're ready to go, plug your Quest into your PC and go to the link connection. Right? If you have a screen like this, you're already connected.
For some reason, these don't show up. That's okay.
What are you seeing in there?
It's asking me to, if I want to change my view. Change your view, or like, we can get the same thing. It's
That's on the button.
reset your view to try and turn your head in a direction.
Okay.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah, sure. Good. Huh? Oh, okay.
Oh, wait, yeah, so I can't do the first question. I'm gonna- What's like, anyway?
Disable the wireless if it's checked on. Oh, you're good, I think.
Hey, I'm just gonna dot dot dot. Oh wait,
They just load.
oh wait, now I'm in.
Now you're a gray space, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, that's good. That's correct. Okay.
Is that fun?
Go to Quest link. Go to, let's see if I can cast again. If you go into, I think systems. Okay, everyone take your headsets off and look at the monitor. Right. Click on this green gear icon for settings. Go into system. It's the first one on the upper left. Go to Quest link. And I'm already connected, so you should just hit the launch Quest link. And if you see up above here, say wireless, uncheck that because we're connecting via wire. Okay, and then just hit the launch Quest link. Oh, sorry. Let's go back. I was in the wrong space. Click on launch Quest link. Make sure this is unchecked. It's going to show what PC you're connected to. There should only be one, and then hit launch. And you're gonna be in a gray sort of infinite gridded room. Okay. And if you click on the desktop here, you'll see your desktop view. Okay. And so you can see what you're doing. Okay. For next class, make sure your quests are charged and whatever updates need to be completed are complete. You have the option to delay updates, delay updates. Just do a stationary. Yes. Updated. But you're connected to us here. Is it actually you? So, yeah. All right, who's gotten to this gray? Room? When you're in the gray room, it means you're this. This means your Quest link is enabled, and that we can start using our headsets to visualize our projects in VR.
like it's great in the program.
It's gray, right? Like that? Yeah. That's- This is the most difficult part in each year for past couple of years. Connecting. There's always something. The issues this year were very different than the issues last year. Thank you. Is everyone back?
From my last year experience, it's good to like just take the computer that you're sitting right now
Yes.
and also set up a Google Drive to save. I mean, this is gonna come up later, Jason will mention that. Set up a Google Drive so you can access the same file from your computer upstairs or here.
Yeah, I use Dropbox, but Google Drive will work. Whatever syncs to save your Unreal Engine projects. Okay, everyone got a great tree? Are you using did you turn off the air link?
Yeah,
Try exiting and going back in. Are you also, can you check your Wi-Fi? And see that you're on the same Wi-Fi network? Actually, no, that shouldn't make a difference. Just exit the setup and then try it again. Oh, when you try to do desktop. Yeah, it should make a difference. Should make a difference, but. Yeah, but I went. Everyone's in the gray room?
Can you see me changing my full screen right now or not?
Yeah,
Oh, cool.
okay. Well, you'll have to just follow along. All right, so let's get started. Now that we've connected our Quest, finally, we can go into Epic Games. So open the Epic Games launcher, which is probably on your desktop. I'm going to just minimize these windows, right? It's this icon here.
Jason, could you please make it possible for us outside also to see the screen?
Oh, yes. I suppose that means. Okay, so you guys can see my desktop now, yes?
Yes.
Okay, so the Epic Games launcher. And when you open it, click on library. Actually, make sure you've selected Unreal Engine here. and you click on library, and you should see these two versions. Yeah, everyone there? I think did you come because of the ticket I started?
No.
Oh. Oh, okay, okay. Is everybody on this? Right? We're gonna launch 5.3. We're gonna develop your projects in 5.3. 5.4 just came out and has like new features, and if you need to explore that, you can, but I would stick with 5.3, but both are available. So I'm gonna launch 5.3. And while that opens, just so you understand the process, the Epic Games launcher is kind of like a lobby space for all of your Unreal Engine versions. If you think about what the game development process entails, you might be working with a lot of different engine versions depending on the project that you're working on. So if a project started 3 years ago, you might have been working in an older version of Unreal, and you probably don't want to update it to a newer version of Unreal, because that could create a lot of problems for you in terms of errors and some coding issues. And so the Epic Games launcher is where you can kind of keep track of all of the versions of the engine that you have, as well as keeping track of all of the projects that you have, right? And so since we don't have any projects yet, we're just launching the engine from scratch, and we're going to create a new project using the games template. I know you see architecture, right? But it comes with things we don't need to worry about. So let's start with games and virtual reality, right? But you could see that there are different gameplay modes available to you. So first person, third person, top down, and vehicle, if you want to make a Grand Theft Auto kind of experience. And then we're going to deal with virtual reality for now. Right? So one important thing to note is Unreal Engine files aren't like Word files or Rhino files. They're not files at all. These projects live in a folder. So your entire project is really comprised of a folder with one like launch icon. But without the folder, your project doesn't work. Okay, so we need to keep track of where all of these things get saved. And this is where you designate your project location, right? So if you had a Google Drive that you set up to link to this PC that you're working on, this is where I would designate that Google Drive, create a subfolder called Unreal, and then I can name my project whatever I want. My first VR, right? I have it on my C drive in an Unreal folder. Do not use a network drive for this, right? So your Google Drive that's synced to your desktop or your machine is not a network drive, right? Because you're syncing that folder to your hard drive. And you're also syncing it upstairs on your workstation upstairs. Does that make sense? But something like the M drive or the T drive, those are network drives. Don't use network drives.
OneDrive.
OneDrive, if you're syncing your OneDrive to your PC, it should be fine. Because it's saving that file to your PC. You want to run Unreal Engine, you want to run these projects locally, not through a network. Okay. Any questions? So I'm going to hit create. Right, so all of these here are network drives. And so your OneDrive should be either located on the C, your Google Drive should be located on the C, or you might have two hard drives connected, but it needs to be on your local device. So if I open up my C drive and go to that folder, you can see that Unreal has created that project folder. Now, if I double click on that project folder, it looks like there is an Unreal file. But if you want to move the project around, you can't just take this file with you. You need to take this entire folder. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Okay. I'm not going to harp on that because if you try it, it's not going to work. And you'll know. Well, now you'll know why. So let's wait, give it a moment. It's going to take a while to open up for the first time. So while we wait for that, who among you know exactly what they want to do this class or for this class? Yeah? Are you raising your hand?
No.
Oh. Nobody? Not yet?
I do.
Oh yeah, what is it, Tony? Oh yeah,
Um,
you emailed me, yes?
yeah, like I had a research fellowship before I came to the school where I did exactly this. I used I was the architectural head and we just reconstructed ethnically cleansed villages.
Uh-huh.
And then the second person would go to Unreal Engine to then make this in VR experience. And I want to shortcut this by learning how to do the second part, so I'm not dependent on other persons.
We'll talk about all your project and all of the other projects more in depth next week. I want you guys to make a pitch for next week. Pitch me your idea. For those of you who submitted their assignments a little bit earlier in the evening yesterday, I wrote some comments to it. And maybe even if you had more than one project, I sort of nudged you towards what I thought would have the more or greater potential for development for this class, right? I want to manage expectations. This is not a modeling class. I don't want you to spend weeks 3D modeling something because that's not what this class is about, right? That's not to say assets aren't important, right? But we can find a lot of assets. And really what we're doing is we're designing an environment, right? For an individual person. So what does that mean? How much does the person experience when they're in a space, in a given space, right? Basically, I don't need to model the entire Rudolph building to develop an experience of the Rudolph building of the space we're in now. I really only need to model this room, right? If I want someone to experience the building as a whole, I really have to consider the way in which that happens, right? Am I a giant walking in New Haven, like Godzilla, looking down at the city, right? In which case the model of Rudolph is tiny, right? And could be, made very quickly by extruding blocks. That makes sense? And so you really need to tune the asset development to what the intended experience is going to be like, right? Because I can make a 50 million polygon model of Rudolph, if I'm gonna see it this small in VR, I'm wasting my time, right? And so you really have to control your process and your production to fit within the sort of totality of the experience that you're creating, right? So you're the director of your film, you're the creative director of your video game, of this virtual video game, whatever it is, and you really have to tailor your development and your production to what's the intended experience, right? Because all I'm gonna have close access to are the things that are immediately around me, right? So going back to that Rudolph example, what I might do is create a cinematic that flies me to the Rudolph building that I've modeled really small to give me context for what the VR experience would be like, which is sitting in this room. Because now when I start VR, it's like, oh, I must be in that building that I just saw in that cinematic, right? So we're really using the visual materials that you're developing to narrate and stitch together an entire story. Does that make sense? So in the case of Tony's project, Tony wants to model a village that's been destroyed. Yes, Tony?
Yes.
And we'll never experience the totality of that village unless we're very, very far from it, flying over a plane or a hot air balloon, right? And if that's the experience that he wants to give us, then he needs to put us in a plane or a hot air balloon or whatever makes sense for what he's trying to show us, right? So are you giving us a bird's eye view? Are you putting us in the city or in the village, right? Because if you're putting us in the village, then I really need to worry about 6 sides of a cube, right? Even though we're outside, it's still a room, kind of, right? We have what's in front of us, we have what's behind us, right and left, and up above, right? That's, if we're outside, that's sky, done. Now we only have to deal with 5, right? The ground is pretty easy, right? So we really have to only deal with 4, right? And so what you need to do is you need to imply where we are, given the immediate surroundings, right? And this is how we experience space, right? So when I'm in New York, I know I'm in New York in the abstract, but the New York I'm in is what's in my immediate surroundings. I know we're in, but I'm just using New York, right? And so is it Times Square, right? Because that's very New York, right? So then I'll model Times Square or some buildings or facades, right? I don't even have to model the entire building. I just need to model what I can see. That makes sense? Okay. Did anybody else get this? Let's go ahead and log in. So all this to say is don't just say, I'm going to build the whole thing and then I'll go into VR. Go into VR and then look around and say, oh, okay, now I know what I need to build. Because that's going to be a lot easier than building an entire city of which I'm only going to experience, you know, a couple of building facades, right? So you should be in a scene like this, right? Did you guys all do the fundamentals tutorial? Right? Raise your hand. Be honest. Okay. Who actually did it or versus watched it? Who just watched it but didn't do it? I didn't follow along.
Gotcha.
So you didn't follow along. Okay.
No.
So when I give you guys tutorials, I know it's kind of a pain in the ass, but if you don't follow along, it's gonna just not stick, right? You're gonna forget most of this stuff after this 7 weeks, sadly, right? There's a lot of information, and the only way to get good at it is to practice, right? It's kind of like learning an instrument. It's like learning rhino for the first, right? It's like, oh, what was that command again? It was like perfect. I did it. Like, then you got to go back into Google and find out like what's the command you use to cut a line using another line. And the more and more you do it, you're just going to remember, right? Unfortunately, Unreal Engine is not super intuitive. There's just a lot of stuff in there. And so you have to practice it, right? Because just watching it is not going to be enough. Okay. And so let's go over navigating in Unreal, right? So here's my cursor. I can right click and rotate my view. If I right click and scroll up and down, I can change the rate in which my camera moves, right? So this is too fast, right? So if I'm modeling a city or creating a city scene, I might use a camera speed that's more appropriate for that. Whereas if I'm modeling more of a space or a room, I might want to slow it down to something like 0.5, right? And the way I'm moving for those gamers, this is going to be very intuitive, is the WASD key while I'm holding down the right mouse button, right? Again, right mouse button is all, like I have to hold down my right mouse button to navigate, right? And the way you should think about it is we're flying through the scene as opposed to what we do in Rhino, which is pan the camera, zoom in and out, and rotate our view. Okay? So I can rotate my view, but all this is going to determine is which direction am I going to move. So if I rotate my view here and hit the W key while my middle mouse button is pressed, I'm flying forward. If I'm hitting the S key while my, right mouse button is pressed, I'm flying backwards. D is moving to the right, and W is moving to the left, right? And so I can start kind of intuitively fly around using the key, right? So it's kind of like you're in a drone, right? The E key is to elevate, and the Q key is to descend, right? So I always remember E to elevate. This will become intuitive, but E to elevate, Q to descend. Again, holding the right mouse button, right? You can pan by holding the middle mouse button, and you can obviously rotate, but this is not the best way to navigate in Unreal because usually the scenes are big. We're not at the object scale, we're at a room or a larger scale, right? And if you again need to move faster, right, this is where you can adjust manually your camera speed, or middle mouse button and scroll wheel will adjust that speed for you. Okay, any questions?
Is there like a zoom select? I'm very far away from the building.
Yeah, okay. So say I select an object. Sorry, I'm just gonna move this out. What's gonna happen is, let's talk about a couple of things first. I'm gonna come right back to your question. Let's just talk about the viewport real quick. This is your main viewport, right? This is like your window into this theater, right? On the left are all of the props and things that come in that theater, right? I'm going back to that theater analogy, right? So this theater allows me to place lights. It allows me to place things like cameras and rigs. It allows me to place some basic objects, like if I want to drag a cube onto my scene or a sphere. I can do that. And there are some other things of relevance that I'm not going to touch on right now, but we'll get back to them very soon. But this is where the sort of built-in stuff lives. Yeah.
Let's get the column for two.
You don't have the left column? Okay. So let's close that. Does it look something like this? Do you have this and this? Okay. So if you go to Window, load lay. Yeah, if you click on this, you'll get that, right? The thing you may want to do is, I don't know if I want to recommend this to you yet or at all. Let's just not do that. Yeah, if you want that place actors, just click on that and you'll get that one done. So sorry, that was the place actors, right? On the right, you have what's called the world outliner, right? Remember, this is a theater that has lots of stages or potentially lots of stages. We're only looking at one, right? So right now, this stage is populated with stuff, assets, and all of those assets can be found in the world outliner on the upper right, right? I can select objects on my viewport, and it's going to highlight what those objects are in my world outliner. And if I select an object in my world outliner, it's going to highlight it in my view, right? And to Liam's question, say I'm like really far away, like I just kind of disappeared, and I was just like, oh shit, I don't want to fly all the way back, right? I can select on any object, and if I hit F for focus, it's gonna just zoom me right into that location. You're welcome, right? But the world outliner is where you would select an object, and then you could hit F to find it or focus to it, right? Below that, right, is the details panel. So if I select an asset in my scene, the detail panel or the details panel is going to show me all of the properties I can adjust for that particular asset, right? The more complex the asset is, the more stuff I'm going to have in the details to adjust, right? So like this gun, this toy gun is functional, it's interactive. And so there's probably going to be a few different things I can do here. But more importantly, I can edit the gun itself by clicking on that. And then I can see, oh my God, this is so complicated. I'm just going to stop looking at it. Right? No, there's just more stuff you can do with it because it has greater function. Right? It's known as a blueprint. And if you guys ever used Grasshopper before, similarly, it follows a node-based visual scripting structure. Okay, this looks all crazy, but don't worry about it. It's not that difficult, and you'll get the hang of it on a very rudimentary level to start, right? But it's like a world within a world. Do you guys still use AutoCAD anymore? Nobody uses AutoCAD. Sometimes Rhino. Do you do blocks in Rhino? Sometimes. I mean, the best way of thinking about like a blueprint is like it's like a CAD block. It's not just lines. It's like a group of lines that maybe do something, right? CAD, it has dynamic blocks too. right? I can like flip the door swing or make the door wider, or make it thicker or whatever it is. It has certain parameters, right? Parametric qualities. That's essentially what a blueprint is. It's just a collection of things, right? Which include what we see, right? So it's a visual asset, but it also has some code associated with it that adds function and interactivity, right? Which isn't always visible, right? And so if you imagine we have a toy pistol, what might be the functionality of that? Like what might be some things that it could do? Well, I could push a button and it'll shoot something, right? And so you're starting to connect the visual image of a pistol, right? Sad image, but it's a visual image of a pistol, and we intuit what it can do, right? So if I put a hammer on the table, what's the first thing you might do? You might pick it up and start trying to bash something, right? And if I take that hammer and I hit it against the table and the table breaks apart, well, what has the interactivity? The hammer or the table? Or both? What do you think? Both? Who says both? Who says hammer? Who says table? Yeah. So it can be both, but you really only need the interactivity on the table, right? Because a hammer just needs to trigger something to happen, but it's the table that's destroying itself, right? And so intuitively, it might feel like the hammer is doing the work, right? In reality, that's what's causing the damage, right? But in video game land, we're creating a simulation of that. In which case the hammer just needs to look like a hammer and trigger in us the functionality of the hammer. But the table is what then needs to receive that information of being hit and then break pieces of itself off. Does that make sense? And so you're going to have to start realigning your thinking a little bit to virtual world versus real, right? Because ultimately you want the player to feel the strength of the hammer, or the hammer is the thing, but as the developer or designer, you know what you need to actually do the work in, or where the work actually needs to go in order to make that simulation feel like reality. Okay. All right. And then there's this other tab called world settings. Do you guys have that or no? Yep. If you don't have world settings in the same spot, Windows, you can highlight world settings. And world settings is just some theater-wide settings that you can adjust, right? So you might want that on, right? If you click on this content drawer, right, it opens up what's more or less a Windows Explorer window, right? If I go to Windows Explorer, open my project folder, I have within it a content folder, right? This folder is exactly the same as this. Okay, so it essentially is the Windows Explorer folder within Unreal, right? You could think of the content drawer as the back of house of this theater, right? I'm a production company. I'm putting up Midsummer Night's Dream inside of this theater. So I've got my costumes, I've got my stage sets, I've got my actors, I've got my everything inside of a container. And I'm bringing it into this theater so that I can deploy them, make them dance and sing and recite their lines on a particular stage. I'm bringing them into my content. Okay, it's imperative that you keep this folder as organized as you possibly. right? It's easy at first, to I'm gonna remember that where that is. But as you start to bring in, like this is an infinitely sized back of house. And so you can bring in a lot of stuff. And so you just want to make sure that you're keeping track of what you're bringing in. Okay? Any questions? Does this all seem clear? Did you guys get this from the fundamentals tutorial? I recommend you guys go through it again, right? Just practice is good. I know you guys aren't going to do it, but I'm just recommending it, right? What's imperative for you to do is connect your Quest to your PC upstairs, your workstation upstairs, right? It won't be as painful as what, because at least it's connected to the Wi-Fi. Okay, so make sure the Oculus app is installed. Make sure you install Unreal Engine, which it may not already. And so you'll go to the Epic Games page, or the Epic Games page, and download the Epic Games launcher, and then you could install whatever version, Epic. Right, so I'm just gonna open it, right? So you'll end up with nothing here, so you can just click on this add button, and you could add whatever version of Unreal Engine you want. Just make sure you add 5.3 at least. But you can install however many versions you would like, right? The other thing to note is now that I've created that VR project, it's now located here. So I could just double click on this and it'll launch my Unreal. Okay, so who's ready to go into VR? Simple. Let's click on this triple icon here and you go to VR preview. And since we've connected our headset, we're already in, right? You guys can see my screen? Yes? Right? The way we move around in VR is we can walk a little bit, right? If I got up, I can kind of like walk a little bit to the left and right, but we don't have a lot of room here. And so you're more likely going to teleport. No, okay, everyone, take your headsets off for a moment. Just for a moment. Right? I want you guys to look at me kind of looking stupid. Okay. Are you with me? It's what? It's off? Okay, turn it back on. Well, watch me for now and then turn it back on. How about that? Okay? Here, I'm gonna put it on my head. Right. Not tracking. Let's see. Does it know my eyes are not in there? It does know my eyes are there. That's so creepy. Okay. Okay. So you can see it's tracking my movement, right? And I have my virtual hands in front of me, which are just tied to the controller. So if you look at me and not the screen for a moment, there are little joysticks on your controller, right? The joystick on your right hand is allowing you to teleport, and the joystick on the left hand allows you to turn without physically turning, right? So if you look on the screen now, if I take my left joystick and just toggle it left, it just rotates my view by about 45 degrees, right? More importantly, with my right joystick, if I push the joystick forward and hold it, so I'm pushing and holding, you can see this little stream appear with a circle, with a disc, right? That's where I'm going to teleport to. So I can hold the joystick forward and just kind of like, okay, where do I want to go? I want to go over here. And then I let go, and that's where I'll appear, right? Right next to these boxes. And so I can turn around and go back to where I started. I can teleport onto anything with what's known as a collider, right? I'm gonna put these on so I can see what I'm doing. But now you can watch the screen. So that pistol, this gun thing, right, is an object in Unreal that I can interact with. Same thing with these guys, right? I can use the button on the sort of grip of my controller. Can you guys actually look at my hands? This button here allows me to grab something, and you can push it down and you can see my 3 fingers drop down. And if I push down my trigger, my forefinger, my index finger drops down as well, right? So if I hover over my pistol and I push that button, I'm going to be able to pick this thing up, right? And if I push the trigger button, I can fire little Nerf balls, right? And if I let go of this trigger button, I dropped my gun, right? I can do that with objects that are grabbable, but these objects have to have that interactivity built into it, right? So this cube that I added, I cannot grab because it doesn't have that same interaction, right? So everything I want to happen in this virtual space, I have to build it into this virtual space, right? Like I can't just, do that for everything. I have to give it those properties, right? So why don't you guys reconnect your headsets and go into it's because your link has been disconnected. So go back to your Oculus and reconnect. You might have to go into this to see if it's green or not, and then go into your headset and go back to the Quest link and relink it. If you've unplugged the cable, then you're probably definitely not.
Um,
Is that what it says on own sources? Oh.
Well, mine also is.
like this moving and then up.
Okay. So go into your phone app. Go into your headset settings. Yeah. Go to your PC rather. Here, I'll do it on the screen. So in your PC, go to settings. General, and make sure this is checked. Was it unchecked? Yeah, so it should work now. Oh. Okay, again, if you guys run into issues where it says that it's not trusting the content from an unknown source, just go to the Meta app or the Meta app on your PC. Go to settings, general, and make sure unknown sources is checked on.
Is there a reason why it thinks I'm the height of a dog?
Because you're sitting down.
Yeah.
I mean, you still look low. You have to set the floor in the beginning of your connection, the floor level. But maybe your floor level is set too high. But it'll help if you're standing up to grab. Is everybody able to go into VR? Who has not? Who has not? Okay, what is it? What's happening? Is it grayed out? Okay. Are you connected via Quest link? So you're if VR is not turned on and you put your headset on, you should still be in that gray space. If you're not in that gray space, then your Quest is disconnected from your PC. If it's in the gray space and it's still grayed out, then you need to restart on your. Okay, but if you were able to do it and now you're not, if you reconnect, it should turn green again. Yeah. You're in the gray space?
But I'm in chat.
No, well, you need to be in the gray space in order for it. If it's not, if you're not in the gray space, then you're not. Oh.
I'm in gray space, but there is the.
So in the Quest, you have to go to system. Go to the settings. Then you'll see Quest. That's it. If you launch this. So. You have to. Who's having problems? Who's still grayed out? What you might need to do is to go to your Meta app on your PC, go to Settings, General, and where it says OpenXR Runtime, click on Set MetaQuest Link as Active. And then restart Unreal. And then this shouldn't be grayed out anymore, hopefully.
Yeah.
Good? Okay. Okay, we only have 10 minutes. So let's talk about a couple of things really quickly. For next week, I'm going to send a link to a Miro board. I want you guys to upload your project pitches to your designated area on the. You're going to have 2 minutes to tell us your idea. Okay, each of you 2 minutes to tell us your idea, right? Start with the one you like the most, but tell us all of your ideas. And if you posted the 3 projects as part of the homework assignment for this week, I will have by very soon commented on which one I think is merits the or is maybe most in keeping with the scope of work and appropriateness for VR, right? It has nothing to do with whether I like the projects or not. It has everything to do with whether or not I think this project is just the kind of right balance between what modeling I need to do and what I might do in Unreal, which is the more important part of the course. Does that make sense? So it's not a judgment on the project itself. It's really how either of those 3 projects that you selected fits within the context of this class. Okay, that's what I'm going to comment on, right? And then you could do with that what you will. If you say, I don't care, Jason, I want to do this, fine, do it. Right? I have zero stakes in that, right? I'm going to give you my advice, do what you want, right? Again, projects of historic or architectural significance, right? You could play around with the interpretation of that, but if no one's ever heard of the project, right? There's really not much conversation that's going to come out of your presentation, right? So just keep that in mind as well, right? If it's a project that people are familiar with, they might say, oh, this is a really interesting interpretation of that project that I studied when I was a student, or, oh, I can't, it's amazing to be in this project. I've always like admired it so much from when I read about it in whatever, right? Does that make sense? It's just engaging in architectural discourse through VR, right? That's kind of what we're trying to do. And so if you pick something super obscure that no one's ever heard about, it's okay, but you're going to want to figure out, maybe the challenge is, how do you educate us about that project through the cinematic that you're creating and the VR experience, right? So you'll have a little bit more of a heavy lift, if I'm going to be honest, right? At the end of the day, the project is a project, right? You're going to get the P. Like it's not about that, right? This is really about just practicing and kind of learning what it means to design for a user, design an experience for a user, design a space. So ultimately, what we do is we design the spaces for users. And so how does this become a way in which to sort of change your thinking a little bit, not purely about the sort of hard architectural aspects of what we draw into our projects, but what the entire experience is like. Right? That's kind of the goal. That's kind of the goal for this class. Okay. Any questions? Does that make sense? Okay. Is everyone happy about being in VR? You guys all did it now. Check. Was it amazing? Is your mind blown? You're like, nah, I should have taken Grasshopper. Who thinks they should have taken Grasshopper? It might not be too late. Is this the first class that means? It is. Yeah, so it's not too late. You can jump out if you want to, negotiate some trades. You know, this class isn't the easiest one, I'm gonna be honest. And it's, you know, if it's just about getting the P, just do it, you'll get the P. But if you really want to try to get something out of it, like it does take an investment in time, energy, and so hopefully you feel that it's worth the investment, right? And so yeah, it's a lot of fun once you get into it, once you develop. You could talk to Masood about it because he took the same class last year, and he can, you know, provide you with a lot of help and insight. And he's going to be hosting tutorials. I'll probably do a few tutorials or office hours outside of regular class time. So if you want to talk about your projects, your project selections a little bit more, just email me and we could schedule a time to chat. Okay. All right. So if no questions, you guys are free to go. Yeah.
Unknowns.
Yes. So that's what I was saying earlier. Go to your meta app. Excuse me. Go to your settings, general, and make sure this top, yeah, check that. And then you'll have to restart Unreal. Okay, I'm happy to stick around after class for anyone who wants to talk about stuff too. So please make sure you bring your quests, make sure they're charged, and make sure everything's updated, right? So we don't have to deal with any of that stuff next week.
Jason, should I come next week a bit earlier so I can just double check with you how to do it? Because it seemed that everybody had a little bit of trouble in installing them.
Sorry, say that again. I
Just
can't
meant,
quite hear you from the speakers here.
I'm so sorry. I just meant like, should I come a bit earlier next week so we can go over in case that that I also have trouble with the goggles, because a lot of them apparently you went to a lot of people's desk personally, so I may run into troubles doing it alone.
Okay, now I got
I don't think you need to come earlier. You know, we'll be able to help you connect because everyone else is connected. So, you know, Masood will be able to walk you through.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
Yep, that sounds perfect.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh my god. I must have looked ridiculous right now. My microphone.
On I would try out Rec Room. Rec Room is free and they have a lot of little games that are fun. Huh? You could just access it through the Quest itself.
Ah, cool. Okay.
So let's just take a slope here. What actually say? I actually just got an instance of that whole comments. So that they can actually there, or you can just say, for example, the Google the first place, and always put it from Google.
And then always.
And it will always, yeah, just to be able to make sure that you have to save the file. And save. Make sure.
No, she has, well, I'm not.
Yeah.
So Professor Kim, I read your comments on Canvas, and maybe those two projects are too ambitious. I chose the library and the brand control station.
Or Penn Station.
Yeah, thank you. But the third project that might be a little bit more compatible with this project, it is a little bit of horror mixed in.
A little bit of horror.
Horror. It's just the Pruitt-Igoe Towers, St. Louis. Because it was grid housing, it might seem easy to construct, but a lot of the recreational hallways were places where muggers used to hide. I don't know, trying to also think about the kind of experience that the final deliverable will end up having, that maybe the Pruitt-Igoe Towers.
Okay.
A better.
Yeah, I mean, I think that seems like you're already thinking about what the experience of being in that space might be like.
Yeah.
Like somebody walking through and things popping in.
Scare the people in my project, but honestly, it seems like it's most relevant.
Yeah, I mean, I think that sounds
Okay,
good.
so I'll look at them up.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't write an assignment for it, but I'll put it in a Miro board.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right.
Because it was something like really exactly like, but I'm trying to do like this, different school in Nigeria that's like demolished. But the idea behind it was to create like a prison village. Like there's in Makoko, which is like a river area that is just in stills. But after this collapse because of like the construction and stuff.
Because
Because like the construction was really bad and it collapsed after like 2 years. It was just one that was built. So the main village idea was like scrapped and nothing was done anymore. But the area exists. It's there now. So I figured that like this would be easy to model because it's just like one multiplied.
what's the, I mean, yeah, I think that sounds good. But I would be more focused on what the experience is. So if I look at the.
Yeah, the experience, I think, is just like trying to see the way the sun is.
So am I in a,
That's like a rendering. Yeah, I think you're on the boat.
Yeah.
Moving through the water. And so it's like the water actually how it looks now, and not like how it is here with like the structures and seeing how it feels to like.
yeah, but what do I get when I move?
What do you get when you move?
Yeah, so we'll talk a little bit about this next week, but like, I need some bacon or some cheese. If I'm gonna run a main, what's my rule, right?
Okay.
So I think you need to think about, not just building it, but what's the experience? Or what do you want to communicate?
Okay.
So I think yes to everything you're saying, except you need to add that layer of like, why am I here? Like, why am I experiencing?
Okay.
Or what do you want me to get out of it?
Okay.
Is it just about seeing it? Then I think you need to do a little bit more. That's the first step, but if you could add more layers of why, I would then, okay, I saw this one, like, let me row to the next one.
Oh, yeah.
Let me row to the next one.
Okay.
Like you sort of have to give the player the incentive to continue
To move. Yeah. So we use people.
Mhm.
So maybe like showing like different kind of people on like their side.
Sure, that's one option, but then is that the narrative you want to well? Like, are these residential?
Yes, they are residential,
Okay.
because this is where they live in now.
Uh-huh.
So the idea was to like, it's very polluted, it's very
Yeah.
low cost.
Yeah.
And so the idea that he had, which failed, was to like replace these houses with actual built houses. But if they're modular, then it's easier to like redo and split.
Yeah, so you could kind of create a scenario, like say you're a real estate agent and you're giving me a tour of this,
Right.
right? And so then you're showing me examples of like just how wonderful or beautiful or how great it is to live
Yeah.
in these structures,
Yeah.
right? And so then you kind of have to paint that picture too,
Okay.
right? So you could look at reference images like real estate renderings and just try to kind of capture that style.
Okay.
Or, does it have a different tone?
Okay.
Right? But, I think structurally, like using this as a setting and these floating structures as the architecture that you want to develop sounds great. But the part that I think is also going to be very important is developing the why.
Yeah.
Right? In fact, that's like ultimately what's going to make or break the experience. Because if you don't have the why, then it's just sort of looking around, they're not going to stay very long.
Yeah.
And so you just want to figure out how am I going to capture my audience and keep them in that space that I'm creating.
Okay. So could I like modify the project? Like this is the project and this is like his idea and the structure comments with residential, but I have like modified it in this game. So the structures become different things. And
I think so. I think there's probably already, so this person that made this proposal,
mhm,
if you haven't already, there are probably renderings and things like that
yeah.
that try to sell the project in a
Yeah.
way, right? To show, oh, why is this a good solution?
Yeah.
Why is this something that we should all adopt? And so you could either just bring that out, or you could kind of modify that to your, narrative a little bit,
Okay.
right?
Mhm.
But ultimately, what is your take on the project? Are you critiquing it? Are you endorsing it? Are you supporting it? Right? We should kind of feel that in the experience. So,
Okay.
does that make sense?
Mhm.
When you watch a satire,
Yeah.
it's obviously a satire. If it's, sarcastic, you can feel that sarcasm. If it's promotional, you can feel like, oh, someone's trying to sell me something, right? I think that's the sort of additional layer that I want to explore.
I could critique it. I would love to critique.
Okay, no, but I think you should do the thing that you want, like, the project is not just something, the project selection isn't just something based on what you like, but you could definitely critique it.
Yeah.
I think critiquing is probably more fun than celebrating, right? Celebrating, it's like you put it on a pedestal, and it's just like,
Yeah.
okay, and then what? Critiquing is like, oh, you can do so much to create a project, so.
Very cool.
So yeah, give that a shot.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And we have to model it in Rhino.
You can model anything.
SketchUp.
Yeah, SketchUp should work. Mhm. And if you could find a model, that even better.
Yeah, I'm going to try to look for a model, but if I have to.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Uh-huh. Hey, how you doing? Good.